The Emersons' relatives wisely refrained from commenting on how relaxed and happy they appeared when they finally exited their bedroom just before lunch. Gabriel's brother Scott arrived that afternoon with his wife Tammy and their son Quinn. Everyone, including Julia's father Tom and his girlfriend Diane, sat down to an early dinner. Diane Stewart was an attractive African-American woman with flawless skin, large dark eyes, and shoulder-length curls. At 40, she was almost 10 years younger than her boyfriend. She'd known him a long time, having lived in Selinsgrove her entire life. As dessert was supposed to be served, Diane happened upon the Emersons dancing in the kitchen. Gabriel had wired the house with a central sound system, and the strains of soft Latin jazz filled the air. The newlyweds were wrapped around one another, swaying softly to the music. Gabriel whispered something in Julia's ear. She seemed embarrassed and turned away, but he chuckled and pulled her close, kissing her. Diane backed away, intending to return to the living room, but the aging hardwood creaked beneath her feet. The Emersons stopped abruptly and turned to face her. She grinned. "Something's cooking, and it ain't the apple pie." Gabriel laughed, a loud and happy sound, while Julia smiled and rested her forehead against him. Diane nodded approvingly. "You took so long to make coffee, I thought you'd forgotten how." Gabriel ran his fingers through his hair, which was mussed because of his wife's earlier explorations. "Darling?" He looked down at her. "The coffee is ready and the pie is cooling. It won't take a minute." Julia reluctantly stepped away from her husband, who surreptitiously patted her backside. At that moment, Rachel and Tammy joined them. Tammy was the newest member of the family, having married Gabriel's younger brother Scott a month previous. At 5 feet 11 inches, she was tall and curvaceous, with long strawberry blonde hair and pale blue eyes. "What's the hold-up?" Rachel looked suspiciously at her brother as if he were the sole cause of the delay. "We were just making coffee." Julia hid her embarrassment by pouring the beverage into a series of mugs. "I bet you were," Tammy winked slyly. "I don't think it was coffee they were making." Diane wagged a finger in their direction. "Right. I'll leave you ladies to it." Gabriel kissed Julia chastely before escaping to the living room. Rachel examined the apple pies on the center island, testing their temperature with her finger. "Grab a knife, Jules. Let's sample these pies." "Now you're talking." Diane declined Julia's offer of coffee and parked herself on one of the kitchen stools. "So, what was cooking out here? And please tell me you didn't use the counters." Rachel eyed the granite upgrades that Gabriel had insisted on purchasing. "Too cold." Julia clapped her hand over her mouth, but it was too late. The women burst into peals of laughter and began to tease her unmercifully. "Is it hot in here, or is it just me?" Diane fanned herself with a paper napkin. "I'm going to start calling this the House of Love." "My parents were like that." Rachel looked around the room. "Not on the counters that I know of, but they were very affectionate. It must be something about the kitchen." Julia didn't disagree. There was something warm and comforting about the space and the house itself. She and Gabriel had trouble keeping their hands off each other, except while she was working on her paper. "So, has my big brother made up for yesterday?" Rachel looked at Julia. She blushed a little. "Yes." "Good. I need to have a talk with him, though. He's supposed to buy flowers after a fight, or diamonds." Julia looked at her engagement ring, which featured a large center stone surrounded by smaller diamonds. "He's given me enough." "That's a good-looking ring, honey." Diane turned to Tammy, her eyes focusing on her left hand. "And so is yours. How's married life?" Tammy watched the